In most of my previous videos, I share what I'm doing outside of the house when it comes to the renovation. But in this video, I'm going to share what we've done inside just over a year since we moved in to this house right here. It's been over a year now since we've moved in, and we've only just finished what we're calling the first stage of our renovation. Even though it feels great to have finished a stage, everything we've done so far is just temporary because we plan on reconfiguring the entire layout upstairs later on. Downstairs we'll be building a new kitchen, living area and dining room in the old adega that was used for winemaking and keeping animals. The house was empty for many years before we bought it. It did have electricity and mains running water, but the rooms were in pretty bad condition when we moved in. Everything needed a lot of attention before we could comfortably live in here. There was dirt, grime, smoke damage and mold all over the walls. We also had some very old wooden windows that were single glazed, and every time it rained, they leaked water inside. The biggest change to the upstairs is that we've replaced all of the windows with double glazing, which was definitely needed, especially in this climate. Before I take you around, I should mention that this is a fairly light touch renovation. We've painted over doors that should have probably been replaced, patched up uneven walls and ceilings, and painted over existing floor tiles. Apart from the new windows, it's definitely not a long-term solution, but compared to what it was like before, it's definitely an improvement. And it'll allow us to live here comfortably while we renovate downstairs and create a new living area down there. Okay, with that all finished, let's go inside. This room and the bathroom down at the end form the extension that was added later on in front of the existing building, which starts here. We think the extension was done in the 70s or the 80s, and the original house was built in the 1950s. The original building ended at this wall, and these two doors were the original front doors. Previously, there used to be a staircase either side of these doors, which would go up to a platform, and you then enter the building like this. The original building had a living room, kitchen, 3 bedrooms and a tiny toilet. Up until the 1970s, there was no proper bathroom, so this extension was built to add one in to the end there and extend the house at the front. This room faces east, so during the mornings you get lots of sunshine coming in here, and in the evening sunshine comes through these doors here, so throughout the whole day this space is very well lit. This room also has these really large windows which provide views across the valley, which is great to see what the neighbours are up to. Until recently we used this space as a living room, dining room and kitchen until we renovated the room over there, which I'll show you later on. So at the moment we just use this as a dining room on this end, and on the far end we use that as a temporary kitchen. The room itself is a fairly weird shape. It's quite long, so we might add a removable partition somewhere along here to divide the two spaces, creating an office space and another room here. So this is our temporary kitchen setup. We've got everything we need. We've got 2-ring electric hob, smart oven, kitchen sink, lots of appliances, space for all of our stuff, and food storage over here, mug storage, glasses, plates, all sorts. The original kitchen was in that room over there, which we'll go into soon, but when we moved in, it wasn't really in a usable state. So we moved the kitchen to here, and also it was easier to connect the water supply, which is from the bathroom behind me. We've also just added another new appliance, and we're really excited to announce this video's sponsor, Waterdrop. And Waterdrop sent me their K6 reverse osmosis filter to install and test out. We are not off-grid here, we have a municipal water connection, and after some testing of the tap water we found that there is a certain level of chlorine within the water. The water doesn't taste great either, so we wanted to test out a filter to see if we could improve the water quality. This particular model filters and purifies the water and also delivers hot water instantly at the same time. This is our temporary kitchen sink, and I'm going to try and install this Waterdrop filter. Hopefully it goes well. I'm a little bit worried that I don't have all the bits needed to install it, but let's find out, I guess. The filter included with the K6 is a 5-stage reverse osmosis filter. It can reduce chloride, PFAS, fluoride and more. And the 5-in-1 filter has a 24 months lifespan, meaning you can save a lot on filter replacement. Inside the box is the system itself, which comes with the filter pre-installed, and within a separate box there's a smart tap and the pipes and fittings to go with it. I shouldn't have worried about missing parts because the Waterdrop accessory kit had everything I needed to install the filter, including 3/4 inch and 1/2 inch adapters, so I could just remove the fitting from my existing tap and replace it into the new one with no issues. I pulled the hole for the tap a little bit too close to the sink, so I had to use the jigsaw to make the hole bigger and fit the tap. The installation process is very simple. The fittings, hoses and most importantly the tap feel very high quality. Often these things can feel plasticky and cheap, but this isn't the case. The tap looks and feels great. I think if I was doing this again, I'd leave a bit of space between where the sink starts and the bottom of the tap is. And I think if I install this downstairs when we finish renovating the downstairs and make that into a kitchen, and I reinstall this, I'll definitely keep that in mind. But it won't matter too much, it'll still work perfectly fine in this position. That's the tap now fixed. The next thing to do is to sort out the drainage. This was the part that I wasn't really looking forward to, but it was actually a really easy part to do. I had to drill a hole in the existing waste pipe from the sink. Our sink has the standard waste kit from IKEA. I then added this drain saddle, inserted the tiny waste pipe into the sleeve and tightened the bolts, and it was finished. After the mains feed pipe was connected to the main unit, the hot, the cold and waste pipes were added using push-fit connectors, and it was finally time to connect the power. After powering the system on, it did a short flush and then it was ready to use. The tap itself has a smart display giving you the TDS and temperature of the water. The buttons are very responsive and the tap even has a safety lock to prevent the hot water being turned on accidentally. We've been using it for a few days now and we are much happier with the taste of the water and the knowledge that any contaminants have been removed. It's also a big time saver when making tea and doing any cooking that requires hot water. As the water is heated using electricity, I'm going to keep an eye on our electricity bills. We have it on its hottest setting at 95 degrees Celsius. Maybe this can come down and we can find the perfect temperature to drink our tea. I'm now going to test the water with the pool strips that we have to test the chlorine. It's not the most accurate of tests, but we're going to do it anyway. Got 2 glasses here. I'm going to fill one with the tap water that's from the municipality and one full of tap water from the Waterdrop tap, and then compare them using the strips. After labelling the glasses, I first tested the water using some standard pool water testing strips. I don't do many science experiments these days, and it's been around 15 years since I was last in a science lab at school, but I tried to make it as fair a test as possible. The strips showed some clear differences. The level of chlorine was less or 0 in the Waterdrop sample, and the pH was also lower. The process of reverse osmosis removes some of the alkaline minerals from the water, making it more acidic. So this was to be expected and shows that the system was working. To make this a more thorough test, I used another water testing kit. In this method, I filled 2 vials with a tap water sample first and added droplets of the liquid reagents for chlorine and acidity. I then repeated this with the sample from the Waterdrop tap, and the results clearly show a reduction in the level of chlorine and a slight increase in acidity that is to be expected and lines up with the results from the other test. I should mention that these tests are for swimming pool water, so the ideal levels relate to swimming pools and not drinking water. From this side-by-side image, you can see the difference between the municipal tap water on the left and the filtered water from the Waterdrop tap on the right. In conclusion, the filter appears to be working and reducing the levels of chlorine. It will be difficult to accurately test how this drinking water will affect our lives, but I'm planning on doing a follow-up video after a year of use. With the install and water sampling complete, it was time to do the all-important taste test. Waterdrop.
Yeah.
Tap, normal tap.
Yeah.
Okay, well at least I got it right. Both of us just did a test and you can instantly pick out the Waterdrop water. Just tastes a lot better. The municipal water doesn't taste that bad in my opinion, but it's definitely noticeable. Thanks again to Waterdrop for sending this out. We're going to enjoy some lovely water moving forward. I'll leave links in the description box below of where you can find the product. This is the K6 filter from Waterdrop. Make sure you subscribe to the Waterdrop Filter YouTube channel and check out the Water 101 live stream on September the 2nd to win big prizes. Moving through this door, I'll take you into the bathroom and show you a little bit of that. The bathroom pretty much has the same equipment as when we moved in. It definitely hasn't moved. We've just cleaned it and touched up a few bits. It's not the nicest space to be in at the moment, but we've tried our best by painting the walls, the tiles on the wall, replacing the shower head, and painting the floor a white colour, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone, and it's definitely something we wouldn't do if we did it again. In a previous video I showed me installing this electric boiler and fiddling around with the pipework that you can see behind. It's not the most attractive system, but it was my first time doing it and I've definitely learned how to do it better in the future, which is something I'm planning on doing myself when we do the work downstairs. The original pipework wasn't in great condition and there were a few leaks that we found with damp patches on the outer walls. So instead I ran a new piping system up through the floor and then to this area behind the washing machine into the new electric boiler, and it also goes around into the kitchen providing water to the new taps. The next room is the living room, which was the old kitchen, and we'll go through there now. So in this room, there was a large chimney hood in this corner, which we had removed, and the chimney above. It was open to the elements, leaking warm air, and rainwater was getting in. This was by far the room in the worst condition, so it took some time getting it up to standards, and we've only recently finished it, I think maybe 2 weeks ago. And since then it's been great using it and it's really comfortable. It's also on the north side of the building, so it remains relatively cool compared to some of the other rooms. So in the evenings on the hotter days, it's great to just chill out in here. So in here we painted the walls, the ceilings, the existing tiles that are on the walls, but we left the floor tiles and just gave them a good clean. In the future, and hopefully before the winter, we want to add a log burner here with a flue going up into the attic space and then through the tiles on top of the roof. The next room off the old kitchen and what now is the living room is the spare bedroom, which we finished recently, and if you've watched last week's video you will have seen it. We've got some guests coming at the end of the summer and into the start of October, so it's great to have this room finished. This room has a window on the north side and on the west side, with views out onto the garden and into the village. Since last week's video, we've added curtains, added this beautiful painting from some guy, finished off the bed and added some bedding ready for our guests. The next room is another former bedroom which we've converted into an office. This is Verity's office. She has this desk which spans the whole length of the back wall, a view outside the window to the garden, storage over here, and this sofa which converts into a single bed for guests. Don't look at the electrics. This is our bedroom. This was one of the first rooms that we renovated because we were living outside in a camper van and we wanted to move in as quickly as possible. So while we were living outside, we renovated this room and the room next to it just so we could move in. The room, in terms of furniture, is fairly standard. We've got a double bed and 2 side tables. In the future, when we reconfigure the upstairs, we're planning on putting a staircase here, linking the ground floor to the first floor. There'll be a wall here. We'll knock down this wall and then open up into a bigger bedroom. But until that happens, this is more than big enough. The room through here is my office. So this is one of the older bedrooms which we've turned into my office with all my gear over here. And then on this side is our clothes storage and some books and loads of shoes. This is where I spend most of my time when I'm not out renovating, where I do all my editing and all my freelance work. So that was a fairly quick tour of the interior of the house and this first stage renovation. I hope you enjoyed it. Slightly different way of filming, which I thought I'd experiment with. It'd be great to hear your feedback in the comments below, whether I should do more videos like this or stick to what I've been doing before.